Hello, we are Geeks Assembled, and today I'm joined by Alex and Susan, and we will be discussing a 2006 episode from the first season of the sci-fi show Torchwood, starring John Barrowman. I chose episode 6 from this one, mainly because there's no science fiction in this episode. And so this is why I chose this one. I chose Countrycide, a tale of a small village. Here we go. There, Susan's got is it the box set? Tale of a small village and 17 people going missing in a space of time, and Torchwood are there to investigate. So that's the gist of the story. And as I said, I chose this story because there's no science fiction element in this story. And it's just so it can prove that this sort of show can do a story with none of that involvement. And of course, it's written by Chris Chibnall. So we'll go over to Susan and Alex and their opening thoughts on this episode, Countrycide.
All right, well, this is my least favorite Torchwood episodes, and it's one of my least favorite things to watch on at all times. It's so gruesome. It's like it's a bit cross between, a British murder mystery and Saw. It's got elements of that in it, and unlike the previous thing that we reviewed earlier, we reviewed Sid and Nancy, and that has a little cutting in it, but it's more, sort of decorative cutting. This is really, really gruesome, and it's really, really horrible, and I don't ever want to run into people like this, and it's just terrible. And so that was basically where I stand right now. And over to
Alex. I like the actors in the show. I don't know if I like the show itself. I know they had to do, and it was also the time to do another spinoff of Doctor Who that wasn't quite so family oriented. And a lot of people like, what's his name?
John Barrowman.
John Barrowman. And it was fun to see him in a convention. It was fun to be sitting next to his family, unbeknownst to us. And
his husband really liked you.
Yeah, and but I didn't talk to him for a long time. But that's nice anyway. And I understand some of his points. And he is a good actor. Would I prefer him not to be wearing a dress? Yeah, personally, I wouldn't want him wearing a dress. But he has a point, too, that the sci-fi has to change and the TV has to change, just like music, same thing. Hopefully no one's forcing you to watch it. I do like Broadchurch, even though that's kind of dark. That was another famous show, and now Chibnall's in charge of the new Doctor Who is now a woman and all this other stuff. I did like a few episodes. The ending, Miracle Day, was unfortunately not good, especially in the execution. I did like him in Doctor Who, not too much. But then again, I like 70s stuff. I like 70s stuff. I like in this episode I like it because it is more 1970s Clockwork Orange type of aura. I don't know if I like the ending per se. But again, I mean, this is also not for kids. This is not Doctor Who. This is not Sarah Jane Adventures. So I mean, Torchwood is known for being darker. I do like the characters. I do like the fact that the Asian woman has more to do. I always thought she didn't do enough in Doctor Who as well. So, yeah, I mean, I have some of it I was able to get some, and I do get some episodes, and I do like James Masters, who was also in the Buffy and Angel universe in America. Sure. I didn't get to meet him because he canceled over in Boston at the convention there. So yeah, I mean, we're talking about basically the 70s in England to the 90s to the 2000s in America, where they did sort of allow more TV shows to not have just one episode a year that was kind of dark. But it's also understood that technically it's not the family hour, the family primetime 2 hours in America. I do like it. I don't like the ending. But like I said, I haven't watched a lot of episodes, but I did like it. But it's just the ending of the whole series wasn't good. Did you guys listen to The Big Finish? Because I didn't listen to that yet.
Yeah, we've listened to quite a few for our podcast.
And is that more open-minded? Are they able to do more with the characters and more plots and not being held in by the budget and things?
Well, yeah, it's audio. You can do anything in audio.
Yeah.
The sceneries in audio, you can just spend as much money as you want. Well, this episode, as I said at the beginning, I picked this purposely because there's no science fiction in this. It's the team having to survive and work together. They're under threat. The team are under threat. This is why I chose this one.
A lot of threat.
Yeah. What Susan said earlier in it, yes, it's different. It is different from all the other episodes. But it's not as bad as Saw because you don't see any of the, you don't see any of the cutting or anything like that. You do see dead, you do see the corpses and stuff, but you don't see any of the action. You know what I mean?
All right, one of the corpses was flayed alive.
Yeah.
Yes, but you don't see it happening.
Yeah.
You don't see that in a Saw movie. You'd see it.
All right. True that. Okay.
Also, as well, it's you've got the support the cast. Well, we've got to say it's cannibals, isn't it? That's what it is.
Yeah.
And the main villain of the piece is one of the head of the village or whatever he is, played by Owen Teale, a brilliant Welsh actor. Been in many things. Game of Thrones for one. He's also been in Doctor Who, Vengeance on Varos. He's been in loads of things.
There he is.
Yeah, Owen Teale. I mean, to me, I thought this episode is so well acted, and you do feel for the team. You do feel the threat. You think, are they going to get? Is Yanto going to die? When Captain Jack always saves the day, of course. But it is like a little 45-minute horror story. That's which I like. I like stuff like this. For me, it's not gory, but you go that way, but they stop just before you see anything. You know what I mean? So I enjoyed.
They go pretty far.
They go pretty far, yes, but they don't go over the edge like some of these horror movies do these days. It's left to your imagination, sort of thing.
All right, maybe I just have a really sick imagination.
I mean, once as soon as you realise, oh my God, the cannibals. What? Because they thought, the team thought it was going to be aliens or something like that.
Yeah, something like that they could fight and like win and defeat forever.
Yeah, this story it's off on a different tangent, and you don't expect it. This is why I like this story. And I've got to admit, it's well written, which is a surprise for Christian Null. Proving he can write, which a lot of people do say he's not very good at this, he's not very good at that, but he can. This story is good at writing that sort of story. And as I said, the team well acted, all of them are well acted, but you do feel the evil. I can't remember the character's name, but Owen Teale. Is it? What's his character's name? Evan. You do feel the evil just coming out of him, And he's not an alien. He's just sort of a normal human being, sort of thing.
That ain't normal.
No, you know what I mean. He's not an alien. He's not. He's just a human being. But the most frightening and scary thing in this, for me personally, is when he whispers into Gwen's ear.
Oh.
I liked it.
It made me happy. I mean, that shudder down your spine.
Oh.
That's why he was doing it, because it made him happy. But yeah. So we'll go back to you two. So anything? We know Susan wasn't sort of keen on it, but anything you liked, or things you'd have changed?
I mean, again, this is another weird combination in a way, because like I said, I did like a lot of 70s stuff, especially ITV stuff, which at the time was sort of rebellious. And they had characters that were not that, commendable. And you had a lot of TV shows, again, they were trying to rebel, so it wasn't a happy ending, it wasn't a upbeat ending, everybody wasn't smiling at the end and stuff like that. And then, of course, I'm reminded of Clockwork Orange, which, of course, is a movie, but I noticed that in the 80s and the mid-90s, they had a show called, miniseries called Cracker, which we've also reviewed.
Yeah.
That also had a lot of, very depressing kind of endings. So it's sort of interesting. You go from the American 1970s movies, where a lot of the movies did end on a depressing note, or you have the ITV movies, the ITV TV shows that were not so happy ending and more rebellious and not as sweet as BBC. And then I think they realized that in the 90s, to be edgier, or whatever they call it nowadays, avant-garde, well, that's the old days, of TV shows that were a little bit more, they were a little bit more like Clockwork Orange. You kind of went, oh, gee, that's, really sad ending, or somebody died, or somebody, got tricked into, getting electrocuted, or whatever other thing. So, I mean, again, it depends on how well the stories are, and it depends on how well the acting is. Saw, it's gruesome. It's cannibalistic. I like some of the actors in it, but as far as the story and the stuff like that, no. I like horror movies, but I do like my horror movies sort of silly. I don't like the idea of showing all this cannibalistic torture type of thing. But again, there are movies, again, where it's a weird dichotomy, because you have the 70s to the 90s to now, where, you sort of have these very kind of unhappy endings and stuff. And they were trying to be, quote unquote, more adult. But again, adult doesn't always mean bad either.
Torchwood is usually got a lot of humor in it. That's it's got the sex, it's got the violence, it's got, here I am, sex, violence, and rock and roll. No, but it's got sex, and it's got violence, it's got blood, it's got aliens, but this one, it's got sex, it's got violence, it's got blood, it's got no humor.
Well,
unless I missed the jokes.
The humor was with Bairn's character, Owen, about him, the camping and all, like, hated the countryside and all like that, and he couldn't put up a tent and that sort of humor.
All right. I see it now. Jeez.
I'll tell you something, though. Seeing as Torchwood's a secret organisation, they advertise themselves, don't they, on the car with the Torchwood down the side?
Uh-huh.
How do I get that? They're supposed to be a secret organisation, but they've got the name.
Well, the unit did the same thing. I don't think that there's any. I think that MI6 and that people in the rest of the world think that the UK drives around with their, sports car saying MI6 on the back and on the tags. And
I mean, for me, this episode for me had the feeling of the movie, like Straw Dogs. If you've ever seen that,
I haven't seen that.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Also, the Wicker Man. Stuff, it had that sort of feel.
In a way,
the original.
in a way, it's Wicker Man.
I like a sort of thing of just like a village. The villagers, what are the enemies, sort of thing. It's a good take on a story.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean that's the other thing is that was also getting very big in the cinema to have very claustrophobic, unhappy ending, but also had character development as well. So you have sort of this weird dichotomy of the American cinema going to the British TV shows. They wanted to change from the BBC. They didn't want a happy ending, type of thing. And then somehow in the 90s that came back with Cracker and a couple of other shows. And then they tried to do an American version of it, and they didn't want to offend the audience, so it was useless. But again, it's okay if it makes a point. And I think that's another thing that people forget. Yeah, you can show somebody getting stabbed. You can show somebody getting, punched.
Yeah.
But if it's just the action, and then you either don't show that it hurts or it just comes out of the blue and it has nothing to do with the characters, that's just kind of worthless. But if you have a well-written story,
This is well written.
right, if you have a well-written story and you're not just doing it for shock, okay, But if you're not just doing it for shock value, violence just for violence sake, and at the same point, they're not being too preachy either. So I think that's the other dichotomy, the other paradigm you have to play with is you can show, good people and bad people, or good actions and bad actions, but there has to be a reason for it more than just I'm a serial killer, or I've gone crazy, or I'm in war. Yeah, that applies in those scenarios as well. But if you can show, and if he's just being violent or skinning off people or eating people because it makes him happy, it's a pretty sick puppy. But suffice it to say, there has been episodes on the BBC network that have shown nasty stuff as well, i.e. Vengeance on Varos from Doctor Who, and Paradise Towers, where they show these two nice little old ladies who are trying to serve you tea, and at the same point they want to eat you. So there you go.
Okay, but these ladies didn't actually show that they had their refrigerator stocked with, the red Kangs or the yellow Kangs or whatever.
Right.
That's where cannibalism in Doctor Who is sort of gross. But so I wouldn't want to hang out with them, those sorts of people. And in this case, you're like, this one needs to be, this little village needs to be bombed. It just needs to be burnt to the ground, and everybody ended, because their generational or tenure thing is just sick and wrong. And I mean, nobody else in this world goes around on a 10-year cycle killing people. I mean, like, that's...
Do we know? We don't know, do we?
No, but we don't. We as people don't. It's not...
I don't know about that one.
Oh my gosh.
Until you come across a little village and...
I'm not looking for those villages. I'm looking for the nice ones with the really cool bike trails and the pretty scenery and the wonderful, British fry up breakfast, full British. I don't know. That's my thing.
Okay,
not this.
But if you want,
not this.
Yeah.
Torture people, stick them in the basement, tie them up, and steal their skin.
Well, again,
I was not in. That's not my idea of a beautiful country vacation in the UK.
Well, but again, there's
what you've got to realise is Torchwood is not for children.
Yeah. And I'm not a child either. This is not my cup of tea. And let me tell you something. If Hull is anything like this, if that's why I'm avoiding it. Oh, you waste your eyebrows. What is this?
All right. But no. But again, to be fair, Sadly, this is also connected in a way to real life because there was a lot of famous, I don't know about lately, but in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, there was a lot of English families that they did, if you look at criminology, that they killed a lot of people and put them in the basement as well.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot of stories, unfortunately, in America, where children are abused, unfortunately, or poisoned, or whatever it is.
Those sorts of things go on all the time.
Yeah.
And those people can be brought to justice. And when you bring the one or two people to justice who are involved in it, then it's not like a generational thing. It's not something that carries on to the on a schedule. For crying out loud, these sickos scheduled their feast of people.
Yeah, but in the end, they were stopped.
Yeah, but they scheduled it. I mean, it was like it's like a family reunion, for crying out loud. Ew.
Well,
ew.
Okay, but wait a minute though. We both like Rocky Horror Picture Show, and aren't they sort of showing a little?
They are doing everything all the time. That's what I'm saying, Alex. If you're scheduling it, if it's something, oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I mean, to go off the subject, I mean, if you're scheduling to do something in that sort of vein, isn't that something like what serial killers do? They schedule they're going to do this, they're going to
so
do that.
you take those one person out, but you put that one person in a cage, like Homicide Hunter Joe Kenda says. You just put them in the cage. These people are doing it like, if one of their family members wasn't there, they're going to start a new family and do it on a 10-year cycle. It's like that sickness is like contagious. It's like Manson. That's what it's like.
But it took Torchwood to discover what was going on. I mean, I can't remember how long they said it was going on. I know it was every 10 years, but it took Torchwood to stop them.
Yes, I know. Thank goodness they were stopped.
And as well, Susan, it's only a TV program.
I know. But that's what I am. I'm a super geek. I need to tell you that this is way disturbing.
But there you go. You see, it's disturbing. So for me, it's done its job.
And I'm invested in these characters. I actually love Torchwood. I love Torchwood a lot, and I don't.
And do you feel did you feel the threat to him? Well, there you go. That episode, it did its job. You were worried for him. So it worked.
And sickened for them. Yes, it's all good.
Because that's what the episode was meant to do.
I know. Oh my gosh.
So if you don't give us a 10 out of 10, Susan, there's something wrong here.
Okay, but doesn't taste have something to do with this too?
Taste?
No. You don't have to taste. Just close your eyes.
I'm not talking about that kind of taste. Oh my gosh, no.
Is it medium rare or well done?
No. Where's here? Oh god. No.
So anything else anyone would like to say about this?
Like I said, I like the overall script. I like the cast. I didn't really like the ending.
Why? Because Gwen ended up with Owen and not with her husband.
Anyway, that's not what I'm saying. The other question is, wouldn't they, and aren't they supposed to have? And I don't know if Ianto is kind of playing that role sometimes. Aren't they supposed to have like a psychiatrist or whatever? Because I would think after going through something like that in this story, you might get mentally a little messed up.
Well, Ianto really is just the T-boy.
And he got involved because he stashed a cyber woman in the basement. His girlfriend was partially converted, and he stashed her in the basement of Torchwood and sort of, went to work for Torchwood because he wanted to make sure that she was okay.
True, that is true.
He was willing to do anything. Yeah, so he could be the psychologist, but so, I mean, uh,
Yeah, I mean, I think
Owen Harper is a doctor, so he
yeah,
fulfills some of that.
but for me, I think the backbone of the team is Gwen.
Yes.
And without Gwen, it would have folded.
That's why she's the only one who. She and Jack are the only ones who survived that horrible thing.
Yeah, but yeah, that's true. Yeah, but so if we've got nothing else to say about Countryside,
Dear.
we'll go for final say and score.
Yeah. All right.
Over to you too.
All right. Well, in terms of everything, like the story elements and things like that, and since Lee has shown me the humor, I'll give that part a 10. But in terms of taste, I will give this a 2.
Oh my God, is Ali back?
I love Torchwood, but this is not an episode. I was like, oh no, we're not reviewing this one. No. But I watched it anyway because I'm a faithful trooper. But anyway, not my favorite. So here's Alex.
Yeah, like I said, I've said what I've said about the show and all that. Again, it's you still have a lot of these people acting, and you certainly have a writer and producer for Doctor Who now. Broadchurch was kind of dark, even though it was a slightly different subject matter. But that had good actors, a lot of cast from Doctor Who as well, and the same showrunner and producer. Yeah, like I said, it's a good cast. It's a good story. It's a dark story if you want something kind of gruesome without seeing a lot of, blood and guts. Of course, it isn't real. But of course, the other issue is there's a lot of stories that are like this as well. So, like I said, I didn't necessarily like the ending either, but that's okay. Like I said, I'll watch it once in a while. I'd rather watch Doctor Who, a little bit more family oriented, or like in the old days. If I want to see something dark, I'll watch something from ITV or Blake 7 or whatever, and that had some dark episodes as well. Remember the episode where Servalan hypnotizes Dana into hating the person that she loves? I mean, that's pretty creepy too. So yeah, again, I like this too, just in a different way, and unfortunately, I don't think a lot of America could do it because I think they'd be too paranoid or scared that it would influence people. So, but then again, they make the Saw movies, so there you go.
So how would you score it?
I'd scored begrudgingly. I'm going to give it an 8. Like I said, I like the cast, I like the story, but yeah, I mean, it's not really hugely my cup of tea. If the ending had been a little different, I might have given it a higher score.
Right, for me, I enjoyed the episode Countryside. It's so well acted. It's so creepy. It's so the scenery is just, it works so well for me. It's not that gory, to be honest. You don't really see any chopping and slicing or anything like that. It's left to your imagination of what's gone on. You don't see anything on screen. You don't accident or anything like that. You don't see anything like that. So I like things like this. Because I'm a horror fan as well. So having Torchwood episode, we've added horror and something the science fiction take now worked for me because I just like to see how the team works together under some threat like this. Not alien invasion threat, just a threat of human beings. To be perfectly honest, so for me personally, this is a 10. It's just, for me, it's one of my favourite episodes. It's science fiction less. So I know Susan wasn't so keen, but hey ho, you can't have everything.
No, and that is like the great thing about these podcasts is that we do watch things that we don't really like, and we end up giving them 2s or whatever.
Yeah, well, only if you're cold allied, no, you don't. You just don't turn up for those casts.
I'm talking just like in general, like
I don't know. I'm just
discussing is discussing stuff that is repugnant to you is necessary because you need to tell people what the heck you're feeling about this gruesome cook.
Yeah, because you say someone who hates something that genre, somebody else will love that sort of genre.
I don't hate horror though. I mean, I like horror flicks. I just don't. I'm just not. This one is, there's some sickness in it and some things that are just like, I can't believe they went there. I can't believe they went there again. Oh my God, they're going there again. What the heck? Don't open that refrigerator. Don't bloody open that refrigerator. No. Leave that alone. Don't go in there. What the heck? Gross.
It was only a foot. Anyways.
And then there was like the body in the forest. That was horrible.
Yeah,
And I mean they in the Declassified they say, oh yeah, it's this really cool technique where we use these strings and we form sinews and meat and muscle and meat and stuff using these strings and all this blood and stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, that's really gonzo right there. That's some sick stuff.
So
right
in
there.
other words, Susie, if you could have written or produced the episode, I think you probably wouldn't have done it this way.
I would not have actually done this. I would have taken a look at the script and gone, no. Oh, heck no.
But there again, it just shows you that at the time, whoever was in charge had the balls to put this one out.
Yeah, Russell T. and Julie Gardner, and they were all super proud of this episode in the Declassified. They were like, "Oh, this is the best." I was like, "Ew, you guys are sick. That's wrong."
Cool. I like it when Susan goes like this. I love it. So, anyways,
no.
we've discussed, we've scored, so it's time to go. Alex, Susan, thanks for being here. Thanks for loving the episode, Susan. I know you really liked watching this one. You guys out there, leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of Countryside, all the cannibalism. If you want to join in these casts, leave us a message. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, YouTube. If you want notifications of our videos when they go up, just ding the bell. So until next time, what can I say?
Stay out of the country.
Yeah. Sleep tight. Don't have nightmares. Don't go camping.
You can go camping, but stay out of the countryside.
Well, don't people go camping in the countryside?
Yeah.
Well, there you go then.
I don't know. It's dangerous.
I don't know. You take your life into your own hands as soon as you walk out your front door, Susan.
I don't know.
Life is life is a many splendid thing.
Okay.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Okay.
But you never know what's around the corner.
And if it's gonna eat you.
Now I'm off to have a nice juicy steak.
And
maybe a bit of rump. See you later. Bye bye.